What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday, September 7th. I am Kim Becker. This is Beckoning the Broncos. Welcome, welcome. Hello to everybody in the chat already. We'll make sure that we get everyone on in here before we start. Looks like we're good to go. That was quick. Hello, everyone, and welcome to week one of the regular season. We have actual live NFL football for the 2022-2023 season starting tomorrow. If you are listening to this live, Thursday night football, it is time. We all know that the Denver Broncos are playing on Monday night against the Seattle Seahawks. Oh my goodness, you guys, I just got chills. This is literally the best time of year. I don't care if you're a Christmas fan. I don't care if you're a Hanukkah fan. This is the best time of year right here. Probably today, honestly. This is the last day that we have to really prepare for this upcoming season. So it's going to be a very fun day, a very fun podcast here. I'm excited to be able to chat with you guys about the few developments that happened over the course of the last week with the Denver Broncos and some injury updates. They voted on their captains, which is really cool. We'll dive into that a little bit, but mostly we'll talk about how this team is looking as we head into week one against the Seattle Seahawks and what we can expect to see, who we can expect to see playing, and how head coach Nathaniel Hackett really sees both teams, both the Seahawks and the Broncos, heading into Monday night. So excited to have you all here with me. Good morning. Take a minute to say hello to everyone in the chat here. Jeremy, my guy, always here supporting me. Appreciate you so much. He says, good morning, Kim and Scott. Scott is here too. Never forget, Scott is here. Without him, this would not happen. He says a little over 24 hours to the start of the NFL season, and I'm excited. Right there with you, Jeremy. Very excited. We have Dave in here. We have Christian. Good morning, Kim. One more week until we beat the Seahawks. Less than a week, Christian. We've got like 5 days. I mean, this is crazy. It's here. The time is here. The time is now, and it's going to be a thrilling 5 days as we really get anxious and anticipate Monday night. So that's going to be It's going to be a tough few days, but in a good way, The DWI guys, Ethan, here this morning. Thank you so much for being here, Ethan, as always. He says, good morning, Kim and Broncos country. Good morning to everyone in the chat, as always. And we'll get this going. Appreciate you guys being here. Like I said, we've had a great time up until this point here at Beckoning the Broncos. You guys have welcomed me so kindly into this Broncos community that you guys have and into Mile High Huddle. If you've been a fan for a while, if you've been following us, I was here a little over 2 years ago. I started-ish, took a little break, and now I'm back. And we are talking Denver Broncos, and we have a full-blown game to talk about next Wednesday. So we're just going to kind of prep for it right now. I wish we could talk about one right now, but let's talk about the injury updates a little bit. Everyone on the active 53-man roster practiced on Tuesday, which I think is great news. Obviously, we knew that Jonas Griffith was on, a little bit of an injury there with the elbow versus the Cowboys in that first preseason game. He dislocated his elbow and he was out for about 24 days, I believe. Mike Kliss of 9 News reported. But he was back yesterday. He is ready to go. They haven't said fully if he's going to be playing on Monday night, but that seems to be the expectation. I know that Coach Hackett was really going to try to make sure that he would be back along with Billy Turner for that week one game against the Seattle Seahawks. So everything is looking good right now with Jonas Griffith. That inside linebacker, definitely going to be a guy that we're going to want to see out there. I know that when you look at the Denver Broncos compared to the Seattle Seahawks, we're all leaning towards the Broncos win. I know that. We've talked about that. We all have agreed on that. But, it's a little scary to think that it could go the opposite way. It could go the other way, people. And we got to kind of acknowledge that a little bit too. So to have that inside linebacker there to make sure that we can stop whatever's going to go on in the offense now that we know that Geno Smith will be starting for the Seattle Seahawks in under center right there. We're not really sure how their offense is going to show up on Monday night, but we need to make sure that our guys are good and ready to go, and we've got the best defensive unit out there just in case. I know people were saying, well, Drew Lock's not starting, so we could have been able to prepare against Drew Lock pretty easy, and that might be a strategic move by Pete Carroll. We're not entirely sure. We're not inside those walls at the Seahawks facility, so no one is to say for certain, but We do know that Geno Smith played several games last year, and he has, DK Metcalf out there, Lockett. He's got some guys out there, some weapons that he can definitely use. So it'll be interesting to see if he actually does that to our defense and if we're able to cover whatever, or if the run game is really strong. So to have that inside linebacker there and Jonas Griffith back, really great things for the Broncos on Monday night when we look at that unit there. So welcome into everybody. I see Scott over on YouTube. Hello. He says, hi. We have Dom on Facebook. He says, good morning, Kim, Scott, and Broncos country. Kim, how do you feel about the new ownership buying the land where Dove Valley is at? It was a $9 million deal. Denver Broncos for life. I think it's great. I mean, you want the ownership to be all in, and what better way to be all in than to literally own the entire land. I mean, I think it's great. I have no issue with what's going on with this ownership group and the moves that they're making. I think that we needed people that were super committed to this team, to this community, to this area, and we'll see what they decide to really do with all of the moves that they're making and whatnot. But I've been really pleased and satisfied with the additions that they've made to the team, with the outlooks that they have for this team, with the perspectives of the organization moving forward. So I'm really excited overall about this ownership team. So I think it's great. Michael's in here on Facebook, says, good morning, Kim, on Beckoning the Broncos. Good morning, Michael. Broncos country, let's ride. Absolutely. We have Clayton over on Facebook as well saying, morning, smash that like button on the way in. Let's ride. Absolutely. Smash that like button if you're over there on Facebook. Smash the subscribe button if you're over there on YouTube. Please, you guys know that you guys really keep us going. So all of your support means so much to us. So we'll dive back into the rest of the injury list, or the updated injury list, should I say, because like I said, everybody on that active 53-man roster did practice on Tuesday, which good outlook for the Denver Broncos heading into week 1, really the best you can get. We all know this is football. We all know injuries come with the territory. I know we all say, God forbid, just make sure that everybody stays healthy. Yes, we believe that. But the reality of it is we know that they're not. We've already had a massive injury in Tim Patrick earlier in training camp, and we can't have that happen again, right? So we just want to make sure that these guys stay healthy, absolutely. But heading into week 1, we're in a pretty good spot. Billy Turner will be back again. We're assuming that he will be playing week 1. Hackett, we know, really wants him to play the whole game on Monday. I believe right tackle is kind of where we're thinking that we'll see him there with the offensive lineup and how that's looking. So if Billy Turner does kind of meet our expectations for Monday night, we'll probably see him full game at right tackle, which is going to be needed. Jeremy says this will be our first look at not only Russ, but Randy Gregory and Billy Turner as well. Absolutely. Very interested to see them. Very interested to see a lot of these guys. I think what's really great about having a new quarterback and having some receivers come back that we know can really produce out on the field, but now they have the quarterback to help that happen. It bleeds over to every single other position group. And I have seen from firsthand experience that if you have the right people at the right position, wonderful things can happen. So I truly believe that even just having the leadership in Russ there, leadership in, a lot of these other receivers like Jerry Jeudy, who maybe now believes that he has a little bit more potential because Russ is under center, that whole leadership ability and confidence will bleed over to every position group. So yes, very excited to see Randy Gregory and Billy Turner out there as well. Obviously, Billy Turner, like I just said, is coming off of an injury. So it'll be interesting to see how he has developed and how he will be able to play out there. But right tackle, obviously important position. Probably not the most important position on the offensive line. Arguably, I would say left tackle is, but right tackle still very important, especially when you have Russell Wilson behind you, because we need to make sure that that line is solid. So yes, very much so. Excited to see how those guys perform in the orange and blue. Definitely. Christian Fry over there says, O-line is my only concern going into the season. Kind of, we'll stay on topic here for a little bit. I agree with you, Christian. It's always a concern for me, literally on any team that I cover, that I follow, because the moment that there is one slip up in the O-line, it's just a domino effect. And, I think one of the most important factors for the offensive line is that they're on the same page mentally and they understand what the guy next to them is going to do on both sides, what the guy to his left, what the guy to his right is going to do. So as long as they know that and they are on the same page when it comes to that, I think we'll be okay. It's going to be really hard to tell until we see it in action on Monday night. So yes, I agree with you, Christian. I am also a little weary of what's going to happen in the trenches there on the offensive side of the ball for us, but I'm going to have cautious optimism heading into it, hoping that it'll all pan out okay. So they've had a lot of time in the meeting rooms. They've had a lot of time to be able to get on that same page with each other. And I think that's going to be really pertinent to what we see on Monday night. Albert Okwuegbunam, tight end, he is also back after a little tightness that he was experiencing last week. So we've got Albert O back there. Obviously, we know Greg Dulcich is still on IR, short-term IR, so he'll be able to come back week 5. So with that said, Alberto is probably going to be the guy there that might be making some of those plays for us on the outside. So definitely excited to see how he gets out there. It's early. And produces. It's definitely going to be a big year for him if he can live up to our expectations as well. And it needs to be a big year for Alberto, as we've talked about before. So Austin Ryder over on YouTube says, nice surprise to have some live MHH this morning. Austin, where you been every Wednesday? We've been doing this for a few weeks. Please come join us. Yes, anytime. Wednesday morning at 7 Pacific, 8 Mountain Time, of course, 10 Eastern if you're over on the other coast. We're doing Beckoning the Broncos Wednesday mornings, and I'm chatting Denver Broncos. And Austin, if you're new to me, I grew up in Denver. I grew up a Denver Broncos fan. I'm a massive football fan. I work in football in a lot of different capacities in my life. I used to be a performer with Disney on Ice for 10 years, so I've been in live entertainment and media for pretty much my whole life, and I love it, and the Denver Broncos are my passion, so it's been really fun to be able to speak it with all of you live into existence every week as we head into the 2022 season. So welcome, Austin. He says, yeah, I don't know, I'm dropping the ball. No, you're not dropping the ball. I'm just giving you a hard time here, but welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you and everybody else that is over there in the chat. Kind of this is late news. We knew that Tyree Cleveland, wide receiver there, he didn't practice almost all of August because of a throat injury that he experienced in a drill at the beginning of training camp. I believe it was August 1st. He did come back about a week ago, and we know that. Obviously, you guys follow the team and you know what's going on, but that's just another addition to that wide receiver position group on that 53-man roster, so he should be good to go as well. And then the last update really on the whole injury situation and IR and that active man roster is Brandon Johnson was waived off of IR yesterday on Tuesday. If you're listening to this live, it was Tuesday that they reached an injury settlement with him, which means he will go into the waiver wires. And if any other team would like to pick him up, they can. But he did get a little bit of a settlement from the Denver Broncos. However, if no one does decide to pick him up, if another NFL team passes on him, if all NFL teams pass on Johnson there, the Broncos can re-sign him. So I know that, we look at it as a settlement. Okay, he's gone for the season, which right now that's how it looks. But if no team decides to swoop him up, we definitely do have the ability to re-sign him. So it's always an interesting thing to watch. There's got to be some strategic moves into this. We all know it's a business. We've heard Coach Hackett and George Paton talk about how this is tricky. This is hard. Some of these guys have to take one for the team, quote unquote, and they have to, really just kind of move these guys around like pawns for a little bit. We all know they're not pawns. They are human beings. This is their life. So we are not treating them as such. However, when it comes to those 2 days last week when they were making those final cuts to that 53-man roster, they knew that they had to do a little bit of a maneuvering, if you will. So that's kind of our last update there when it comes to the IR list. So here we are. We are 5 days away from seeing the Denver Broncos play the Seattle Seahawks in Lumen Field in Seattle, Washington on Monday night. I kind of go back and forth between how excited and how nervous I am about this Monday night game. I think it's going to be fantastic. I am already nervous, so I'm not going to wish that it was Tuesday morning, but on Tuesday morning, if this goes well, if this goes the way that we all want it to, my goodness, it's going to be a great morning. But yeah, I'm super nervous. I'm sure you guys are too, because we just can't have Russell Wilson go out there with the Broncos and not perform to the expectations that we have had, not to the standard. It's his old home. It's a lot of his old teammates. There's going to be just a lot of emotion, a lot going on. But I always think back to Tom Brady and when he played the Patriots for the first time last year and he went back there. And, I remember watching him run out of the VOM and seeing him just run down the sidelines and just screaming. And it's this energy in the National Football League that is unmatched. It is my favorite thing in the entire world. And I don't know why. I don't know how this happened to me. I have somewhat of an idea. My dad did play in the NFL before I was born, so I've always grown up a football fan. But my goodness, just thinking about that gives me chills. And so I can picture right now Russell Wilson doing the same thing. And having him in that orange and blue jersey is just going to be so exciting to see. It's going to be a lot of emotions, really high energy, and I'm stoked to see it. I'm sure you guys are too. But again, there's going to be a lot of nerves going on there. But ahead of Monday night, yesterday on Tuesday as well, the 2022 captains were chosen by their teammates for the Denver Broncos. I'm going to talk about this just for a little bit here because I think it's really important that the players voted on their captains. I know that I could sit here and I could analyze who they chose as their captains. I could dive into each one and why I think that they shouldn't be captain or they should be captain or why were they chosen a captain over another one. But I really don't think it's my place when the players vote for their teammates to be captains. We have no idea what goes on inside of those four walls in the Denver Broncos facility. We don't know how these guys show up in meeting rooms. We see how they show up in games and we see how they show up during training camps and some practices that are open to the public. But we have no idea what they say to each other in the hallways, what they say to each other at lunch, how they show up in the morning, who stays late at night. We hear about Russell Wilson and of course the big names, but we don't know the whole dynamic. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this sport and being a part of a team sport where in the NFL, it's literally their life. They are dedicating every waking moment and probably their sleeping moments as well. They're probably dreaming about it to the Denver Broncos and to their teammates. And so I think it's really incredible when players do vote for their teammates because it shows who the team sees as a leader. And I think that is the most important thing when it comes to a successful and a championship team, because you need to know who these players are leaning on. So we could sit here and say, oh, well, why didn't Pat Surtain get a vote? Maybe he did. Coach Hackett did say in his press conference on Tuesday afternoon that there were a lot of guys that got votes. He said a lot of guys on the offensive line even got votes, which I think is really cool. So he was impressed to see that the team thinks that there are leaders in every single unit, which is great. I shouldn't say every single unit. I don't know that for sure. In a lot of different units, it sounded like, because he said there were a lot of players that got votes. So I don't like to analyze captains when they're not chosen by the coach or by who people think are just like the best producers on the team. I think it's really cool when the team votes on it themselves because it just shows us who they see as their leader heading into this season. And just knowing, I've been on the inside of a football team and you see how much time these guys spend with each other and they really are a family. And I don't just say that to say it, it's true. You have to be a family when you are part of a team like this, and to know that they are the ones choosing who they want to lead this family heading into battle, really, when it comes to the season, I think is a spectacular thing. And I just don't think it's my place or anyone's place, really. This is just my opinion to analyze who they chose. So just really cool. I can list them off here for you. If you don't know, it was Justin Simmons, Bradley Chubb, Russell Wilson, Brandon McManus, and Cortland Sutton, who they chose as their 5 captains. So pretty cool to see. We've got guys on both sides of the ball. And then, of course, that special teams captain and Brandon McManus, which I think is a great pick. He is the longest tenured player on the Denver Broncos now. He's the only one that has won the Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos back in 2016. Is still on the roster. So I think that he's obviously a great leader. He's been around. He knows what Denver wants, what Denver needs. He knows what the team's standard is. He knows what they're all about. So I think having him is great. And I think having a special units position or captain is fantastic. I think it's necessary because they're very, very, very important to the team. And I know we spend so much time talking about the offense and the defense, but oh my gosh, special teams, you guys, they can change the momentum of a game like that. So I am a huge special teams fan. I always will be. I think specialists are incredibly talented. Yeah, maybe they're only out on the field for a short amount of time, but if without them, the team is not set up. So I will say that to my grave. I am a special teams fan first and foremost, always. They are what leads this team. So I was pretty excited to see that Brandon McManus is still a guy that the team sees as a leader, even though a lot of them haven't played with him for a very long time. So with that said, won't dive into the captains too much more. But again, very excited to see how these guys show up on Monday night. Excited to see how they develop with Coach Hackett. You know, he was asked how often he will meet with these captains. And Coach Hackett said whenever is necessary. You know, we're going to meet a little bit last night now that it's been announced, but he said he wanted the whole team to meet with him and the captain so that they can really understand what they need as a team. And I think that's something that Coach Hackett keeps stressing is what does this group of people need as a team? It's team first and foremost, you know, team before me. It has to be if they want to be able to reach their goals this season, which we know are very high. And I think it's pretty cool to see that the players voted for him. I don't believe that's how Vic Fangio did it the past few years. If anyone knows for sure, correct me. But I don't think that because he had different captains every game. So yeah. So this is different. I do not believe they are changing. They are 2022 captains. So these are your 5: Justin Simmons, Bradley Chubb, Cortland Sutton, Russell Wilson, and Brandon McManus. Those are your 5 captains for the 2022 season for the Denver Broncos. So excited for those guys and great leaders on both sides of the ball and on special teams. Let's see. Austin is in here giving some takes on the captains. Great. Bowles, yes. Garrett Bowles and Pat Surtain were probably on the bubble of the captains bubble. I assume you're talking about. Yes. I'm sure. Bowles has been a great guy for this team as well. And Surtain, I think so as well. You know, he's obviously newer. He's younger. So maybe he just doesn't quite have that voice or that demeanor that is needed for a team of such caliber heading into this season. But yeah, I'm sure we'll see him. I'm sure he was in the mix, and I don't doubt that players don't see him as a leader at some capacity. But again, we don't know, and that's what's so cool because we have no idea what goes on in the hallways. And you guys, even when they're just walking from meeting room to whatever, walking to lunch, walking to dinner, walking to practice, if they're in the weight room, I wish we could all be flies on the wall in the weight room. The stuff that these guys do in the weight room is incredible. The way they hype each other up, the way that they motivate each other and support each other in the weight room, that's where you see leaders really show up as well. So a cool thing to think about there that we don't get to see all of the time. Ethan. Okay, Ethan. He says, I'm a Hawks fan and I'm so pumped and I'll be at the game. This game is our Super Bowl. Well, welcome, Hawks fan. Anyone is welcome, Ethan. I kind of love this right now. I mean, we are a Denver Broncos community, but I love this. You come in here and you talk your ish. I like that a lot. He says, again, I'm a Hawks fan and I'm so pumped and we'll be at the game. This game is our Super Bowl. I am actually very intrigued by you saying this because I've thought about it to myself that this game is probably a very, very big game for Seattle Seahawks fans and the organization as a whole, because yes, it absolutely is going to show how this team developed and transitioned after Russell Wilson left. So good to see you, Ethan. Thank you so much for being in here. I honestly love this. I'm so jealous that you are going to be at the game. Wow. Man, you better soak up these moments before Monday night because that game's going to be here before you know it and it's going to fly by. But good for you. Have so much fun. Soak it in. Take lots of pictures, but really make sure that you're enjoying that moment. And hey, Ethan, if you can, pop back in here next Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. 7 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. Mountain time for Beckoning the Broncos next week because I would love to hear from you, Ethan, and how the game was. And I want to hear about when Russell Wilson first ran out there in the orange and blue. And I want to hear how you felt and how the stadium reacted. I'm sure he's going to get a standing ovation. I think that Seattle has, correct me if I'm wrong, Ethan, Seattle has a lot of respect still for Russell Wilson. So I can't imagine it's going to be a negative reaction by any means. But that's so cool, Ethan. Have so much fun. We're not Hawks fans though, so just remember that. Anyways, Jeremy says, as a Hawks fan, Ethan, will you boo or cheer when Russ runs out? Yeah, Ethan, if you can answer Jeremy's question, I'm curious as well. I didn't even see that before I just said that, but okay, here he is. Ethan pops in. He says, for me, I will do what the others do. Oh, okay. a follower, not a leader. Interesting. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He says, for me, I will do what the others do, but it is a shame that it seems like he forced himself out and didn't look all in last year. So I hope y'all don't mind the toxic Hawks fans. LOL. No, of course not. We don't mind toxic Hawks fans. That is what you guys are, but we don't mind them. I'm just kidding. No, this is what football is all about. I mean, it's rivalries and it's fan bases going at each other's throats. This is what football is. So we love this. I don't mind this at all. I'm manning this thing right now, me and Scott, and this is totally fine. I am all on board with this. So funny that you said that you think he forced himself out, though, and he didn't look like he was all in last year. I mean, he didn't play for like 10 games, right? So I feel like it's hard to say that he didn't look all in when he was injured. I'm sure that messed with him. That was the first time he's been injured his whole career. So interesting take. Again, Ethan, you are the Hawks fan. You saw him year after year after year the past decade. So I will believe you when you say that it seems like he forced himself out. Obviously, we know there were some issues, right? Between whether it was him and the front office or him and his teammates. We really don't know. But it was time for him to move on, and that's what he did. And now he is a Denver Bronco, and we are Denver Broncos. So welcome, Ethan. Hope you've been enjoying your morning. But really excited for you to go to the game Monday. Like I said, please pop back in here next week on Wednesday and let us know how it was, because I'm very intrigued already. Oh man, what is going on here? We've got a Chiefs fan in here too. Todd saying Russell about to get beat up in the AFC West. All right. I'm gonna bring this back to the Denver Broncos. Funny you say that, though, because I was watching Good Morning Football yesterday and they were doing their predictions for playoffs. There were kind of mixed bags, honestly, when it came to who they thought were going to win the AFC West. I saw Jamie Erdahl picked the Raiders, which was interesting. Kind of liked it, though. And then I think it was Peter Schrager picked the Chiefs. He still believes that the Chiefs are going to take it all the way. That's fine for that AFC West. That's fine. But the Broncos were both wild card picks for either one of them, and I think that's a safe bet. Obviously, if you want to be a little more risky, I would love to say that the Broncos will win the AFC West. I don't actually think that they will, now that we're right here. We've talked about it so much. There was a lot of national media attention on the Denver Broncos as we headed into the offseason and saying, that Russ was going to sweep and this is going to be it. But I do think they're going to be contenders. I do think they'll get a wild card position, but I'm not sure. This is just me being a wimp, but I don't want to predict it yet. I'm scared. But no, it's interesting to see how the media has shifted, transitioned into all of their different predictions and whatnot. But I mean, at the end of the day, when we are right here on Wednesday, September 7th at 7:30 my time talking about the Denver Broncos heading into week 1, we have no idea what is going to happen. I'm sorry. We don't. We could talk in circles about our predictions, but I'm going to wait until Monday night is over, and then we'll dive into a prediction next week. How's that? Okay, you guys have my word there. I'll give you a prediction for playoffs and for AFC West next Monday night, because this is just too early for me. So we'll revisit. Ethan, the DWI guys, coming in here with a lot of support for me this morning. Thank you so much. As always, I love having you in here every single Wednesday, and I love having all of you guys in here. And next week, you guys, it is time. We will have an actual game to talk about, and a big game at that. So I'm really excited to be back here next Wednesday. I'm already nervous. I'm already getting chills thinking about it. But I can't wait. This is the most excited I have been for one of our Beckoning the Broncos episodes next Wednesday after week 1. And gosh, we will be fresh off that result of Monday Night Football. So I will see you guys all next Wednesday. Please come hang out with me next Wednesday morning. Please make sure that you are in here and that you are giving us your thoughts, because we love it. We love all of you guys here at Mile High Huddle. Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to us over at YouTube, and we will see you guys next Wednesday. Thanks so much. I'm Kim. This was Beckoning the Broncos. We'll see you guys after week 1.